Now it is. There we go. We're
Oh,
live. So happy to welcome everyone to the first of our 3 panels today as our mini live festival. We're going for a bit of Scottish noir to start off with. And we're going to start with you all introducing yourselves and telling us a bit about the books. And we're going to start with Wendy, because normally I pick the person right next to me at the top, but I feel like I might change it up a bit.
Well, I'm Wendy H. Jones, and the H is important because if you miss the H out, you're going to get a shock because Wendy Jones doesn't write the same types of books as me. We'll just leave it there, shall we? I write crime fiction, and I write Tartan Noir. I write cozy mysteries, young adult mysteries, children's picture books, and non-fiction books for writers. And I'm also going to be in a Gothic anthology, the first of which will be out on the 31st of October. So, hey, I'm all over the place. And I'm in Dundee in Scotland. If you can't gather from my accent, I'm Scottish. So there we go.
Lovely. Tanya?
Hi, so I'm Tanya. I write as T.E. Scott for my crime fiction. I'm a bit like Wendy. I'm a bit all over the place. I started off with historical fiction, historical mysteries. But recently I've been writing crime set in Scotland, contemporary crime, kind of more on the cozy end of things. But I have just got a police procedural that's come out, so that's a bit more gritty. But yeah, I love any type of crime, reading and writing.
Lovely. Liz?
I'm Scottish, obviously, but I live in Bradford. So my first 2 series were set in Bradford, and they're quite dark, quite gritty, usually with a serial killer, lots of murder in them. But my new series is set in West Lothian in Scotland, which is where I grew up. And yeah, so yeah, it's a new series with 2 feisty, I like that word, but sometimes I think it's a bit overused, but 2 feisty female detectives. So it's nice to be here in a group with 4 women as well. That's it.
Brilliant. So you kind of semi-covered it, but I thought we'd start off with the area of Scotland that you like to use for your books and why you chose that region in particular. Do you want to start us off, Liz?
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah, I mean, so I've lived in Bradford for longer than I've lived in Scotland, but it's like you're always Scottish, no matter where you go in this world. If you've been born Scottish, you've lived in Scotland for your sort of formative years, you're always Scottish. So when my publisher said, oh, can you write a new series set in the north? I thought, oh, okay, will I be able to go up to Scotland and do it, or will I have to still stay around about the Bradford, Yorkshire area? And it took me a long time to really think about it. And in the end, I did. So I decided I was going to set my new series in West Lothian, which I grew up in West Calder, which is it's near Livingston. It's sort of equidistant between Edinburgh and Glasgow. But it was quite a small village when I grew up, and a more rural area, if you like. So it was quite different for me to move from writing inner city Bradford to writing sort of rural Scotland. I worried that perhaps I wouldn't get a good reception from the Scots, but actually I've had a really good reception from them, and I'm really pleased with that. It was like going home, and I made sure that, because my mum and dad didn't see me get published, I made sure that I said, like, I've got my mum and dad's names, name before she got married, my dad in it. I've got, my uncle's names in it, that. And there's a lot of sort of nostalgia in it, and a lot of experiences from my youth that I've sort of changed up and made more contemporary and used them in it. And it's just been brilliant, right? West Lothian. It's been like coming home. As all Scotland. So yeah.
Tanya?
Yeah, I love what Liz was saying there about kind of coming home to write where you kind of are passionate about. I did start off when I started writing my kind of historical cozies, they were all set in London, that kind of Agatha Christie thing. But when I wanted to write something contemporary, I did want to write it where I live. And so mine are set, my series that starts with Murder on the First Date, they're set in Invergriff, which is a fictional version of Paisley, where I live. And yeah, so Paisley's really interesting because it's the largest town in Scotland. And it's in this slightly funny position of it's super close to Glasgow. So you've got all your kind of Glasgow amenities, but it's kind of its own little world. And we moved here during COVID, which was a really odd time to move somewhere anyway. And what I found was that the people were just so lovely and welcoming. So my story is basically based on what I experienced when I moved to Paisley, which was this group of school mums that really kind of took me in and looked after me. So my kind of crime solvers in those books are the school mums. They're the ones that solve the crimes. So that was really fun, and that was the kind of the spark for those stories. So yeah, it's been lovely to write about where you live, and obviously it's easier. You don't have to do as much research, so that's good.
We're playing Wendy.
Well, I've set mine in Dundee because that's where where I was born and brought up, and where I live now. However, I have lived all over the world because I was in the military, so I've travelled a lot, and I do a lot of book tours abroad as well. But Dundee was close to my heart, and plus, because I lived here, it was really easy to set it here. I didn't make it fictional. It's literally set in Dundee. I've used all the street names, all the building names, companies. Not one person's complained. Not one person. Wherever I dump a dead body, I'll just wander up to them and say, "Oh, I used this in my book. Can I have a book signing?" And they go, "Oh yeah, right, okay, fair enough." People, as long as you're not maligning them, nobody really cares, which is fine. And Dundee's the murder capital of Scotland, apparently. Now, we don't have as many murders as Glasgow and Edinburgh, but I think it's per capita. But to put that in context, there's not many random killings. It's mainly idiots that know each other doing stupid things and ending up going wrongly, and someone ends up dead. So there's not much random killing here, but, it is a rather lively place, shall we say. But I love Dundee, and I can use Dundee, I can use the settings, I can go there, I can look at them, and it makes life much easier for you. And saying that, I've just on pre-order now is an anthology. I'm also a publisher, so I publish other people in anthologies under my publishing house, Scott and Lawson. And the latest anthology has just gone up for pre-order, and it's a right cozy historical crime. And the historical aspect for that, I went to Surgeons Hall in Edinburgh. And the reason for that was I am writing as well a series of books based on the life of a naval surgeon called Thomas Graham, who really was a naval surgeon, and he went to Surgeons Hall in Edinburgh. So I'd done all the research for it, so it was really easy to set a historical mystery there because I had all the at my fingertips. I didn't have to do any more. The other cozy one set in Glams, and then another one set at Highland Games, which is any of the Highland Games that you would like to choose in Scotland. So I do move around, but it's mainly my noir stuff is Dundee and Angus, because Dundee's a wee bit small, so you have to spread out a bit. The smallest city in Scotland, and you can get from either side of it from 20 minutes from one side to the other. So we're not talking huge here. So I've spread myself out into Angus as well, which is big. So it gives me more scope, really. So, hey, it just makes it easy because I can go there and look and see what it's like.
Is this a problem you all have? How do you avoid the Midsummer Murder effect? Because no one's writing in really big places. I mean, there's even with the Bradford series, there's still not that much. Do you know what I mean? You're going to run out of people to kill.
I don't know.
The people are going to start questioning how much bad luck one town can have.
I write about serial killers, so I've killed hundreds of people. My Detective Inspector Sean Mackenzie books have all got a serial killer in them, so there's loads of people. But as I say, if you spread out into Angus is massive. It's not a little small town, it's massive. I'm using a whole county. So I do spread out a bit. One of them I wandered up to Aberdeen. One of them I used New Orleans as well, because Dundee and New Orleans are so close to each other. But I had to go out there and do research. So, you know, it was a tough gig, but I did it.
Yeah.
You know, so I took but it started off in Dundee, and it was about 2/3 Dundee and Angus. Then it moved to New Orleans on a joint investigation. So it's where Dundee meets New Orleans. I use a bit of Fife as well. Fife's massive. It goes all the way from Dundee all the way down to the Forth. So it's pretty big, and a bit of Perthshire. So I'm using the surrounding counties as well to get over but it's still a bit Midsummer Murders, I have to say.
Yeah, I think the readers kind of understand, don't they, that we're suspending disbelief a little bit, because, as you say, I've got 10 books set in Paisley, and if there's a couple of murders in each one, it's definitely more than the average. But yeah, I think you're allowed to have a little bit of fun with it, I think, for the readers.
Yeah. It's funny because, you know, I always thought of my area in Scotland as being sort of quite crime-free, I suppose. But actually, there's been quite a few in the surrounding area. There's been quite a few sort of bad murdery type things happening recently, not serial killers, but, you know, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, it's maybe it's not so far from the truth, some of what I'm writing, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, Tanya. It's like, you know, you expect your reader to suspend belief, and if you've created these characters, they know when they open a crime book, and they know if they're opening if they're opening one of mine, they know they're going to get it dark and gritty and with quite a lot of murders in it. So yeah, I think it's they go along with it, don't they? They sort of invest in you, and they invest in the characters, and so they go along with that. And I think it's all right. I hope it's all right. They seem to like it.
You got some hellos from Claire and Sarah and Patsy's saying hello to all
Hello,
of you.
everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I mean, we were talking about Patsy before we came on air, weren't we? And she's really good at like championing Scottish authors and writing. What do you think is? Because I like asking this question to people when we interview them and they write in a particular region. Why do you think Scottish writing, crime writing in particular, is so popular?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think I was listening to Ian Rankin at one of the Bloody Scotland events, and he was so funny. You know, he was saying how crime fiction, basically, when he first started publishing, nobody would let him into any of the book festivals. You know, it was, you're writing crime, it's not as good as literary fiction. And now all of a sudden, I think in the last few years, it's being more recognised. And I think people really respect it now as a genre. And there's always been these great Scottish crime writers. And I think it's just now it's really having a heyday. I don't know if the other two agree with me.
I think Scotland, I think Scottish people are storytellers at heart. I mean, you never go into a pub or a street or a restaurant or anywhere in Scotland, but you've got somebody holding forth at the bar, you know, telling you this whole convoluted story about something. And I think, you know, my dad was like that, my uncles were like that, and I think you sort of inherit that. And it's that, I think it's that humour as well is something that is so Scottish humour. I mean, I don't want to generalise, but to me, Scottish humour is sort of deadpan and straight in your face, and that's what I love about it. I just, you know, and I always incorporate that in the book. So that to me is part of what Tartan Noir is about. The sort of darkness of the crimes. It's the feeling of being in, and you couldn't be anywhere else really, and that sort of, you sort of work through the whole book to sort of give it shade, light, if you like.
There's always an argument that you know, it's the weather in Scotland that makes everybody turn to murder, but we can't really say that at the moment. We've had a nice summer, it's been lovely, and I actually live in the sunniest city in Scotland. So, sunniest place in Scotland is Dundee, so I can't even blame the weather, to be honest. But what I always say is our top export in Scotland is whiskey. Our second largest export is crime fiction. So basically, the rest of the world thinks we're a bunch of drunken murderers, and we might as well just embrace it and write it down. Right, frankly.
Why not?
If you're really clever, you could combine the two and have a whiskey that goes with the crime fiction.
You could.
Yeah.
You could.
What's that book that's out at the minute? That's what's it called? You read it, Caroline? What was it? It was in the. It was part of, not at
the malt whiskey murders.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh, they missed a trick there with that title.
Mm.
I think the woman who wrote it works in the whiskey industry, though.
All right.
So,
and didn't Denzel Merrick write a book called Whiskey in Small Glasses or something?
Yeah.
I think one of his crime books is called Whiskey in Small Glasses, or
that's
like
blatantly just an attempt to get some whiskey at the book launch, isn't it? Like that's what he's thinking.
For you, yeah. Quite right as well.
You mean you're telling me that all of your book launches don't have whiskey at them?
No,
I don't like it. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I don't like whiskey.
Mine used to have wine. There was always wine, and Waterstones usually provided it. But that's completely changed since the Scottish zero tolerance on drink driving.
Oh, you're not allowed to
whatsoever. You're not even allowed one glass. So it's completely changed because everybody's driving. So now all you get is lemonade or Diet Coke. You know, it's not very exciting. Cup of coffee.
Yeah. I think really we live on cups of tea rather than whiskey, don't we? I think that's our kind of fuel.
Although my dad, I think he lived on whiskey pretty. But then that's just him.
Yeah.
To be fair, my dad says that whiskey kills most things.
Apparently,
kills most things, yeah.
Apparently, gin is becoming more and more popular in Scotland, and we have loads of gin distilleries. And I think they're looking at the fact it might overtake whiskey as our number one export. Yeah. So we might get shot down to number 3, girls, you know.
Malcolm said hello. Laura said hello. She says she loves Tartan Noir. Apparently, John Sutherland's got a book that has its own whiskey. As well. And someone's saying that they need to look up at least one of your books. So why don't we start for the next question? Why don't you tell people the best book of yours to start their reading journey with if they haven't discovered you so far?
Oh.
Who's going first? Most people start with my Detective Inspector Shona. I've got millions of series, so we'll keep this brief. Most people start with their first book in the Detective Inspector Shona Mackenzie mysteries. And by the way, she drinks whiskey. She drinks Talisker. So there you go. She's a whiskey drinker. And she, that's because everybody likes to start at book 1. You don't have to. They're standalone books. And it's called Killer's Countdown. I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story about this. They're all killers. They start with killers. It's about serial killers. The second book, the word all starts with C. Now, what happened was the first one was called Killer's Countdown. The second one was called Killer's Craft. And then I went on to book 3 and it was called Killer's something else. I can't remember what. And somebody at the library went, but that doesn't start with C. And I went, sorry. They said, well, your series, the second word has to start with C. I was like, oh no, I accidentally branded myself. Yeah. And I'm very, very briefly going to mention another series because I publish other people as well. And I publish anthologies with short stories in them. So if you like cozy mysteries and you like short stories, this is a good one to start with. All right. Cozy Christmas Crime. And it's coming up for Christmas. So, you know, and that's the first. They can be read in any order at all. They're just, one's called A Right Cozy Christmas. The next one's A Right Cozy Culinary Crime, and the third one, which is coming out, is A Right Cozy Historical Crime. They can be read in any order, but that happened to be the first one I published. So there we go. Great one for Christmas presents.
Who wants to go next? Do you want to go next, Tanya?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of people here have seen me talk about my first in series, Murder on the First Date, which was the kind of cozy one set in Paisley. But I've just recently started a new series, and funnily enough, it's got female police officers, which I think you guys have as well. So this one's set at Tullyallen Police College. It's called Death's Dark Stream. And my idea was that you have this group of recruits going through police college, and they're fast track recruits. So they've all come from graduate degrees, and they've all got kind of different pasts and things. And then one of them's murdered, so they have to solve the mystery. And it's a kind of rookie probationary officer. So that was really fun to write. And I went up to Tullyallen, to the police college, and you can just walk around because we have right to roam laws, right? So you can just walk around the police college. But when I took my mum for a little jaunt around the police college, and they were doing firearms training. So there was some very scary men all dressed in black wandering about as well. So we had to kind of beat a retreat after that. But yeah, that's the new series, is set at Tullyallen, which has been really fun to kind of research and things.
Is it out yet, Tanya? Is it?
Yeah, it came out at the start of September.
What's it called?
Death's Dark Stream. And lovely, actually, some of the people from this group volunteered to be ARC readers. So I had a lot of really nice reviews for the first few days. So that was really great.
Yeah, I've just taken a note of that.
Yeah.
So I'll obviously Scottish books. So the first one was The Blood Promise. And if you notice here, I keep going on about this, but this is the 5 sister Bings in Bathgate, the Bathgate 5 sisters, whatever. And sort of backdrop to this particular story. I grew up with the Bings were always there when I was growing. So yeah, I would start with reading that one because it introduces my 2 characters. And what we've got is a older character called who's she's like, you know, there's I reckon there's one of these women on the street in Scotland, and she's right, a bit brusque, your face, a bit sort of, you know, but her heart's in the right place, and she's at the same time, and when you just don't expect it, she's suddenly so kind and so, you know, supportive. So she's one of the 2 detectives, and the other one is a young Indian girl called Jasmine Solanki, and she's had a traumatic past. She's younger than Queenie by quite a bit, but her and Queenie are sort of in this one, they're sort of thrust together. They don't want to be together. Both of them have recently been demoted from sergeants to back to constables, and they're a bit pissed off about this, but somehow it works for them and they really gel. And I've loved doing the dynamics between the 2 of them. I mean, I think Queenie provides a lot of the humour, and Jazzy's a bit less full of humour, but very driven and very, you know, she's being a woman of colour in Scotland, in the Scottish police, and Police Scotland is quite a difficult thing to do. So that is sort of touches on that as well. So yeah, I'd start with The Blood Promise, which has a lovely serial killer. And at one point, the serial killer, I don't know if I can say this. The serial killer presents a head on a plate in somebody's kitchen. So I went, when I was up in Scotland, not last time, the time before, I went to a local cafe, and it's run by, it's called Thistles in West Calder. It's run by a friend of mine that I went to school with, called Bobby, or Bob. And anyway, so me, my sister, my husband, we ordered what we were having for our lunch, and theirs came out, and then a wee while later, mine came out, and it had like this bits of spaghetti and clothes pegs and all sorts of. I'm like, what the heck have they done? And he'd recreated that scene from my book for my lunch. He said, my wife said I should put a doll's head in it. He said, but I thought that would be a bit too much for the other customers. So that really made my day when he'd done that. He made the effort to do something special for me. So yeah.
I know that scene that's in that book, and that is wild.
Only Bobby could do that, you know. It's like, as I say, it's the warped Scottish sense of humour.
It's a great story. I love it.
Sarah has said, well, she said she was one of Tanya's early readers, but she also said she thinks that your next book launches, and this is going to be my next question, says that your next book launches, maybe you should have tablet and iron brew for the guests. And my next question is, like, what kind of stereotypes do you think there is about, like, I don't know, maybe Scottish crime and stuff that you'd want to avoid, or just Scotland in general that you kind of don't want to feed into, maybe, like the tablet and iron brew, perhaps?
Oh no, I can't get too much iron brew, can I? I think that, you know, I think the alcoholic Scottish dishevelled male police officer has his place, but I think has been overtaken by more sophisticated police officers that represent wider society and wider experiences, and that acknowledge the issues of today, things like mental health, things like sexual politics, you know, there's just a sort of misogyny, all this sort of thing. I think, you know, like crime fiction, I think that crime fiction generally is addressing these issues, but I think Scottish crime fiction definitely is as well.
I embrace some of the stereotypes, but others I shy away from. Like my police are not alcoholics or anything, because that's been done to death in crime fiction worldwide, really. But they're always eating pez, which is a Dundee pie. P-E-H is how you spell pe. And they're always eating Scottish pies dripping with grease, and they're always eating cakes. And people go, oh, the police are not like that. Yeah, do you know any police? They live on stuff like that, you know, and anything they can get, they're getting quick biscuits, you know. Okay, I'm not saying they all do, and they're fit as well. I'm not saying that. So they do exercise. But, you know, sometimes you've got to embrace the stereotypes and make them funny. And I make a laugh out of it. You know what I mean? And if you can make it funny. The other thing I do in my books is I'm not big on swearing, so I don't swear in my books. So I've made a point of making it funny. So basically, if anybody goes to swear, you know, say they're interviewing somebody and they go to swear, they get halfway through the word and somebody slaps the table and goes, I want you speaking like a ballerina. None of this swearing in our station. He's like, what? He's like, our new detective inspector doesn't like it, so speak right here, and this sort of thing. So I make a laugh of it. So sometimes you can embrace the stereotype, but make it funny, and just turn the narrative, as you were saying, Liz. It's a way to move the narrative forward.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think a lot of us grew up with these sort of stereotypes. I remember watching Scottish crime. It was either Hamish Macbeth or Taggart, you know. So you either had that like super twee Monarch of the Glen, that kind of thing, or you had the really super gritty Glasgow gangland stuff. So yeah, you can definitely negotiate kind of one way or the other, and it is quite fun to use. And some of the stereotypes are true. You know, I'm writing my new book set in Loch Lomond, and it is full of midgies because, you know, that's just what it is like. You know, so you can kind of accept some of the stereotypes as long as you're doing something a bit new and interesting with them.
I mean, I think it helps to ground it in Scotland as well, to a certain extent. And also, I think, I mean, in terms of the regional stuff, like, I mean, that's, what was it you called it? I've never heard of it.
P-E-H.
That must be a Dundee thing.
It's a Dundee thing, yes.
It's like, you know, like the Scottish language varies, the Scottish food varies, what they call different things varies. So I think it's quite good when that happens. And I think it's, you know, things like iron brew and tablet and haggis and things like that. They are all quite, they're sort of Scotland, aren't they? They're you know, I mean, yeah, I grew up on that, but I don't think there's any harm in having that in.
I don't think there's much haggis in mine, but there's certainly tablets.
I've got a character called Haggis, so but that's only because Queenie's decided his name's Heggie, and she's decided to call him Haggis. So and poor lad gets, you know, he hates it, but Queenie's relentless. So, yeah, but I don't know that there's that much of the edible haggis, if you like.
I think all of you quite like a bit of humour in your books as well, don't you? What's so important about having a touch of humour in your books, do you think, when you're writing crime?
I think we go to dark places, and for me, it's partly for me and partly for the reader. It's partly because if I'm writing something really dark, you're sort of in that scene or situation, and it's quite intense, and it takes you over, if you like, and so you have to have something to lighten it, or else you'd go mad. You know, you can't stay in that darkness all the time. So that's where the humor comes in, and it's always looking at that, the way that you can bring the humor in, and that helps me as a writer to do it. But I think for the reader as well, you can't have unrelentless, you know, like darkness and death and depression and despair. You need to alleviate that some way, and that's by, I mean, not just through humour. I mean, it's through sort of random acts of kindness or whatever, other ways you can do it. But humour is a big way for me to do it, I think. So.
I think going back to what Liz was saying earlier, we're quite humorous. We've got a dry humour in Scotland anyway. So it slips in unintentionally because that's the way we talk. It's the way we are. So we can't help it. You know, we will often deflect dark things with a bit of humour. You know, if you go to a Scottish funeral, everybody's laughing, you know, there's all these jokes. And you're at a funeral, you're like, because we just naturally do it. So I think for me anyway, it comes across in my writing. And I think that's probably the same with most crime writers, that they just can't help it. Some crime writers like Christopher Brookmyre really take dark humour to another level, you know, and use it.
Bride is another one.
Bride, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of us in this group, we really like J.D. Kirk as well, and his books are very funny. And it is that dry, very Scottish sense of humour. So yeah, I love that. And mine are, I guess, because mine are more on the cozy side. I don't maybe need it as much to kind of stop the darkness. But for me, a lot of it's building characters, and particularly my kind of amateur sleuths. I want them to be funny, and I want them to be witty, and I want the readers to kind of laugh along with them. So yeah, it's really important, I think, for kind of making interesting characters.
Yeah.
And I've got a series called Cass Claymore Investigates. It's literally funny. It's meant to be humorous.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series. Well, this is a Scottish Stephanie Plum. So it's not meant to take itself seriously. And basically, Cass Claymore's a red-headed motorbike riding ex-ballerina who inherits a private detective agency and accidentally hires an ex-convict dwarf and her granddad. There's nobody knows what they're doing. And it's literally meant to be that nobody knows what they're doing. And it's meant to be funny from start to finish. And I just laughed all the way through it. And the thing is, readers will go from, that's the funniest thing I've ever read, when's the next one coming out, to people that don't like humour, and I don't know why they're reading it, because they're going, I didn't get that at all.
I didn't get that, yeah.
You know, which is fine. That's the way it's meant to be. That's the way it's
Can I just ask you something, Wendy? That's twice you've mentioned ballerina.
Yeah.
So is there some, you know, were you a ballerina in a previous life? Did you?
I did ballet dancing at school, but that wasn't for very long. I was never a natural ballerina. I'm not a natural dancer of any description, to be honest. But basically it was just something I thought of. My brain just went to the ballerina. She used to dance it. Maybe I'd been to see a ballet when I thought about it. I don't know. I go to the ballet and watch it. So maybe I'd just been to a ballet when I was thinking it or dreaming it up, and that's what came to mind. I don't know. Maybe I'm obsessed with them.
Will be now.
I'm learning things about myself here today.
I think everybody's learning things today. Malcolm Hollingdrake said he had to Google tablet.
Oh my goodness, Malcolm, how long have I known you?
Yeah.
Oh God. Always lets people down, Malcolm.
He said, excuse his ignorance, he's from Yorkshire.
I love you, Malcolm, I love you.
And there's lots of people having a discussion about their mums making really good shortbread and being from Edinburgh. I think we've distracted people with talking food.
To food,
yeah.
So, everyone's lost now in that. And Sheila Perry's putting some of the books on her wish lists to give to people.
Oh,
Excellent. Thank you.
good.
Christmas is coming.
Yeah, it's just round the corner.
Yeah, we'd all love to have a great big fat goose for Christmas. So, buying our books is awesome. Putting them on wish lists is awesome.
What are you all currently working on? What's the current work in progress?
I'm a bit embarrassed to say that it has, because since the last time I spoke to you in July, I'm still working on book 4 of the Jazzy and Queenie series. So yeah, I've been struggling to write for a while. So yeah, it's been a bit slow, but it will be done soon, before November, and then I'll be working on maybe a Gus book, or maybe, oh gosh, this idea for a standalone came into my head, and I've never written one before, and I'm thinking, should I do it, should I not? So we'll see what happens.
Can we visit your house with treats to make you write the gospel?
Sorry?
Can we all visit your house with treats to make you write the gospel?
To blackmail me. Yeah, I mean, it's there. I've got the first chapter written, and I've sort of got an idea what I'm doing with it. I just don't quite have the time, I think. It's time more than anything. But I will do it. Yeah. Tanya?
Yeah, so I have the second book to write in that new series, but before then I have to write book 11 in the one set in Paisley. They have a ridiculous series title, which is The Wronged Women's Cooperative, which felt very clever at the time, but it's actually really difficult to say. So yeah, the 11th one in that, it looks good written down, So I'm about halfway through. So again, I'm hoping November-ish. But yeah, there's something about this time of year. I think we all kind of naturally slow down a little bit, or I do anyway. So I need to, you can come visit me with snacks as well, Caroline, and try and get my bum in gear.
I will. I'm quite happy to go visit people with snacks to get books.
I'm working on too many things to mention.
Book Club.
Great name. I'm working on too many things to mention. I'll be here all day. But the one that's taking priority is my historical one, which I've got to get to my agent, or she's not going to be happy, Bunny. So the person that shouts the loudest gets the most attention, basically. And I'm always amenable to snacks as well, although I'm gluten-free, so you might need to choose your snacks carefully.
Does that mean no shortbread, Wendy?
I can eat gluten-free shortbread. I'm celiac, so it's not just me being a fussy beggar. So I can eat gluten-free shortbread, which tastes just like ordinary shortbread. So there's nothing. The only thing that's no good gluten-free is bread. The bread's horrible, but apart from that, everything's fine.
Have you ever, as a writer, got yourself stuck into like a trend or a trope or like something in a book that you kind of really wish you hadn't? Like maybe starting all the titles with a certain letter, naming your book a wronged woman's thing. It's really hard to say.
Trying to think. I do this sort of thing all the time, though. I think that's one of the dangers of being self-published is that you've got this amazing freedom, but you've also got this amazing freedom of you can write whatever you want. And I think I've mentioned on this before that I once wrote a science fiction book called The First Poet Laureate of Mars, which was a science fiction book all about the poetry of W.B. Yeats. And the crossover between science fiction readers and W.B. Yeats readers is very, very small. So I think sometimes as writers, we can get these fun ideas, but maybe they're not the most marketable or maybe don't appeal the most to readers. I don't know, maybe it's different for Liz because you have editors that have expectations and agents and things.
Oh no. Yeah, I think for me, my mistake, well, there's two mistakes. One was that I started my Gus books, which I started them all with a U beginning. So it's Unquiet, Uncoiled Lies, Untainted Blood. I've got 8 of them. And I'm now like, Caroline's made to get the 9th done. And I'm like, what am I going to start? So I regret doing that. And the other was, I gave Gus a pet. I've also given Jazz a pet. And I wish I hadn't, because then you need to take care of the pet. And it's just like, but I found Gus's mum and dad look after the dog. And Jazzy's got a cat, so that's okay. It can come and go as it pleases, really. So it's not quite so difficult. But readers get quite agitated if you don't look after the pet. Yeah. I think pets if you can. But that's just me.
And you're stuck with a pet until they're about 382 because you can't kill them. And the pet can never die, ever. Under any circumstances can that pet die.
Oh gosh, no. Well, actually, I got a review, and it was on the first Jazzy book, the first Scottish one, and she's got a cat. Now, Winky was my cat, but he actually died. But anyway, some serial killer sends Jazzy a picture of Winky with blood splatter, but and this reader obviously hadn't finished the book. She said, I couldn't read any further because that cat dies. The cat does not die. It's still alive. Jazzy still looks after Winky. Winky's not dead, nor will I kill him. But it was just like, obviously that reader just thought, oh, she's going to kill this cat. I can't go any further. And there's no way I could kill the cat. I know better than to kill cats. So yeah, that was a bit.
I mean, going back to the letters, I couldn't really think of letters to begin with C, and I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. So I did a little competition for my readers and said, right, guys, here you are. Here's the deal. I need something to go with. I need all these C words that will go after killers and make sense for a title. And then I'll write the book based on it. And a load of people that just gave me, I think I did it in the UK Crime Book Club when I was at a takeover or something, or another book club when I was doing a takeover. And I got hundreds of titles. So now I've got loads to choose from. So just throw it open to your readers. And somebody actually ended up getting a place in the book, So that was quite good. I think it was when you were trying to raise money or something, Kaz, in the UK Crime Book Club for something. And, somebody won it, and because they raised the most money or something. I can't remember anyway, but whatever it was, I ended up with all these titles. It was great. So I never need to think. So just do that, Liz.
I have done it. I've actually got a list pinned up somewhere here, but sometimes it just doesn't fit the story. So I'm like, but anyway, it will happen, and I'll kill somebody off in the.
The other issue as well, I started all the D.I. Shona Mackenzie mysteries with killers. So everybody calls it Wendy H. Jones's Killers series. It's not. It's the Detective Inspector Shona Mackenzie mysteries. But killers is much easier to remember. So everybody says that. And even I said it. I was doing a TikTok at the new library, and I'm doing a TikTok, and oh, look, my killer books are in it. Well, actually, they're called the Detective Shona Mackenzie mysteries. They're not the killers books. It's just so easy to fall into that trap because all the words start with killers.
Malcolm said he killed a dog in one book. It was a bad error.
What?
Oh,
I know. And Sheila's saying after 30 books under her pen name, some of the dogs are reaching the outer limits of their lifespans. I think it's okay if they have natural causes, maybe.
No,
I don't know if that would be acceptable. I don't know. Maybe you have to retire them off to a family, a great uncle that needs the dog as a support dog or something.
They go to live on a farm. Isn't that the story? Like,
everybody knows that's a euphemism for they've been killed.
Yeah,
I've gone to the vets and been euthanized. That's not going to work.
I'd like to believe they're going to live on a farm.
Yeah, well, I think we should just, keep that idea going, Kaz.
Let's go with that one. Right, tell us what you've read recently and really enjoyed, all of you.
Oh, I'm so bad at remembering names. The Benjamin Stevenson one, everyone in the family has killed someone. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was really fun and quite different. It's one of these kind of unreliable narrator ones, and I really like crime stories that have that. And I've also just finished the newest Robert Galbraith, and they're always great fun. Chunky, a big read. But yeah, those are my two crime ones that I've read recently.
What have I read? I read and loved Kia Abdullah's What Happens in... Absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed it. And I've also read an arc, The Drowning Place, and I read them back to back, so good because they were both exceptional books. Yeah, that really, when you get, sometimes you read a book, but when you read a really good one, then you sort of panic a little bit about your next read because you think, oh, what was good? I'm going to be a bit flatter, but just as good, so in a different way. So that I enjoyed reading both those books back to back, so that was good.
I'm on a bit of a cozy mystery kick at the moment, so I've just read 10 books in a trot, all by the same author whose name I can't remember, but they were called the Miss Riddle Mysteries. But I also like Kelly Oliver's. She's got hundreds of series out, but she's a bit of a prolific writer. But Kelly Oliver's cozy mysteries, historical cozy mysteries, are very, very good. They're excellent, all the characters. And one series is based around Agatha Christie and P.C. James, two of them anyway, who are together, and they're the people who are investigating, and that's really good. I don't know how she got permission for that, but she did, and it's a very good series. So her historical cozies are very good. Kelly Oliver.
Do you need permission for that, do you think?
I would have thought the estate of Agatha Christie would be on it like a bonnet, to be honest.
I don't know. I've never thought of it. Interesting.
The real people, it might be because you're at some point going to say something about them that's not complimentary. You can't go through an entire series of books without them doing something that, they can't be angels 24/7, 365. So, but I don't know. I don't know if she got permission or not. I'll ask her. I'll send her a message and ask her. But I would think you would know what she says. People.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have thought you'd have to. Pardon?
What have you been reading
recently? Not that much crime, to be fair. I've had a bit of a. I know.
We're shocked.
I'm shocked. One of my favourite reads is you could sort of see it at the top of my book pile stuff there. Is How to Kill a Witch, a guide to the patriarchy, and it's about the Scottish witch trials.
Yes, I've
thematic for this panel, but it's probably my favourite read this year.
Really? I'll bump it on my to be read list because it's on it. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really enjoyed that. It's non-fiction, really good.
One of my favourite books this year, which isn't crime at all, but it's called Lola Dean's Little Free Library of Banned Books. It is so funny. I mean, it's all about a little town in America that decides to ban books, and Lola Dean's heading this up. So she puts a load of books in her little free library that are wholesome, like gardening for dinners or whatever, they're all wholesome books, baking cakes, but somebody gets all the banned books and swaps the covers. So like people in this little free library, you might have gardening, but inside it be some sort of LGBTQ plus book, right? And it's about the impact on the lives of the people that actually borrow the books. And it turns out every single person that borrows the book, what's inside it is absolutely perfect for what they're going through in their life. And it's really funny because, of course, Lola Dean's delighted that her little free library is so popular and everybody's borrowing the books for what's inside it, not the covers.
I like that. I'm actually trying to read or reread some of the books that are on the banned list because it just annoys me. I just don't think books should be banned. So yeah, so I'm trying to sort of read a few of them, and I've got a few on my Kindle to read at the minute. I finished To Kill a Mockingbird, The Hate You Give. Oh gosh, what other ones?
Is The Hate You Give banned?
It has been. I don't know if it still
it
is, but it has been, and it's appalling because it's such a good book.
It's a really good book.
It's
it was banned when it first came out because obviously it was brought out in the time of the racial tensions in America, and it's an American book, so it was banned. I mean, Ernest Hemingway has had almost every single book he brought out banned at some point in America or in Spain, because obviously he was talking about the Spanish Civil War as well. So nearly every single book he brought out got banned.
I saw Stephen King posted something about how he was proud that Scott was like in the, I can't remember if it's 20 odd or 30 odd or whatever of his books had been banned, and he was saying, well, I'm doing something right if these people think so, I should be banning them. I think it generates more readers.
Yeah. I was out in America during Banned Book Week 2 years ago, and I did an event at a library, and they had a huge display of borrow these books, Banned Book Week. I thought, good for you, And then I did one at a bookstore, which is an amazing bookstore. They give free books to kids, this bookstore, every single week. Kids get a free book if they come along and they have a reading, and it's run by a Black couple, and they just want to, in a quite poor area, and they just want to generate reading amongst the community. And they had a huge swathe of banned books and second-hand ones, and said, hey, buy them for $1, and I was stunned. I wrote a blog post about it. I was so stunned by the books. Charlotte's Web.
Oh yeah, that was banned as well. There's lots of that
talking animals. That was from the devil. Like, what? Charlotte's Web? How can anybody ban Charlotte's Web? I was
stunned for nudity, and it was basically they had a statue, a nude statue, like an alabaster statue, on one of the drawings. I can't. This is annoying me now because I can't. It was a really sort of, a book that shouldn't have been banned for any reason. I couldn't think of a reason for it to be banned, but somebody had seen this nude statue in one of the illustrations and thought, right, that's promoting nudity, so it got banned. So I'm going to see The Librarians, the documentary that's screening in the Bradford Film and Photography Museum theatres, and it's about the American librarians that have had to fight is it Krauss list or something, but it's a documentary all about that, and it's just, I can't wait to see that because I think it'll really open my eyes. I've seen a couple of the trailers for it.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's on it's on both at Cubby Broccoli and Pictureville, I think, but at different times. Last I looked, they weren't selling the tickets yet, but I'll be getting my ticket this week. It starts on Friday.
I would love to see that. It sounds amazing.
It'll be going around because it's only just been released. It will be circulating, and then I'm sure it'll end up on Netflix or something. Channel 4 News featured it the other day. Wendy, do you maybe you don't watch Channel 4 News because it's a sort of English based, but yeah. So yeah, it was featured there with a couple of trailers and things and interviews with the librarians and how brave they were being to sort of, take the stance that they were, and how much bullying and misogyny they got, for sticking up for what they thought was right and what was their job.
Bradford, where Liz is talking about going to see that documentary, has an amazing literary festival as well every year. Have you guys got any author events coming up?
Have I got any? I don't think so. I have some kind of more local things. So I'm a member of Bearsden Writers in Glasgow, and we do quite a lot of little local community things. So they're quite fun. But yeah, this weekend coming, I will be standing in the rain at a Bearsden festival stall, trying to promote Bearsden Writers. But it's quite good fun. I think these kind of local writing groups, even if you don't consider yourself an author or a writer, they can be really fun and really engaging things to go to. Maybe some people in the chat might like to look up their local writing group, because I mean, I've loved joining mine, and there's people that just write like one short story a year, or people that write multiple novels, and I love being involved in that sort of thing.
I've got an event. It's a charity event for the Zoo Rider Cancer Trust thing. Is it called Manorlands? Oh God, I'm useless at that. But yeah, it's a crime fiction. What's it called? Crime and Fiction with Liz Mistry or something like that. So yeah, it's a supper and talk and raffle and tombola and things like that. So yeah, I like to give back to the community around Bradford, because it's based in just outside Bradford. So yeah. But other than that,
things coming up. I've got loads of events coming up between now and Christmas. So, seriously, I'll be at the Wellgate Centre most of the time in Dundee. I'm going to Dobby's. I've been asked to go to Dobby's Garden Centre's Christmas Fair. Where else? I'm going to schools. I'm going to do talks. I'm all over the place. Just look me up in there. I'll be. Whatever you're going to, you'll probably see me. If you're in and around Dundee and Angus. And of course, Book Week Scotland's coming up, and Book Week Scotland's nuts. I've got 4 events coming up there. I've got one with the schools and the library in Mistry. I'm doing a murder mystery play during Book Week Scotland at Forfar Library, and I'm writing the play and putting it on. The librarians are going to be acting it out. I've got what else? I'm going on the mobile library for Mobile Library Day during Book Week Scotland. I'm going to schools and reading Bertie the Buffalo, and I've got something else and I can't even remember what it is. I better remember before Book Week Scotland. I need to Sorry. Oh yeah, I'm going to be at a book house, and I'm going to be at the Ink and Quill bookstore in Montrose on the Wednesday night. I've got a Book Week Scotland event there as well. So there's so much on. It's fun.
Great. We've got 2 minutes left, so remind everyone what they're going to go away and buy.
Oh dear. There's another one in the middle, but I couldn't find it. It's the Blood Promise, Deadly Reckoning, and the one in the middle is the Revenge Pact, and they're all set in West Lothian.
I only picked up one book, but the Detective Inspector Shauna Mackenzie Mysteries. The first book is Killer's Countdown, but you can start in any order, whatever one you fancy. If you fancy a wee trip to New Orleans, that's called Killer's Curse, funnily enough, because it's set in New Orleans and Dundee. And this is the first in the Cozy Mystery series, and book 3 of that is open for pre-order now on ebook as a special pre-order price, so do not miss out. It's called A Right Cozy Historical Crime, and my authors will be delighted. And just to prove there's more than just me, there are 12 authors in this one. There's 14 authors in the one that's coming out, so plenty of authors, some of whom you might know.
Excellent. I'm going to go and look up you guys' books. But yeah, if you want to read mine, like I said, Cozy Mystery, slightly, people call it a cozy mystery with bite, the one set in Paisley. They start with murder on the first date, and they're just kind of a lighter, kind of in the Richard Osman vein of crime novels. And then if you like more police procedural, Death's Dark Stream is the one set at Tullyallen Police College. And that's really good fun and a bit kind of darker than the other ones. But thank you so much for having us, Cass. It's been so nice to chat.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure to have you all.